Hello lovelies people of the world. Now we're starting a new series called Sustainability, and in our soils we call it Bereket. We have realized when I just went into the bin in my neighborhood that we throw away so many stuff, so many greatness, so many veggies, so many milks, they all get ruined. Why? For so many reasons, but everything starts with how we shop. So I have decided to make a series. This series is gonna be about us buying less, wasting less, while doing this, feeling the prosperity of life and feeling the happiness of doing so. Today I'm going to start with how we shop, then later in the weeks it's gonna be about how we preserve it when we bring the things that we buy in our house, then if there are leftovers, what to do with that, and the things that you're gonna hear is gonna be very, very different from the other things that are on the internet. Mostly why? Because these are the things our grandmother taught, grandfather taught, or a nerd like me have invented them. This video is going to be about choosing vegetables and fruits in the right way so that they stay long in the fridge and they're really tasty. There are some basic rules for all the veggies and the fruits. First of all, choosing everything from a local area if possible and choosing them for the right season. They have to be in season. Secondly, look at the color. Is the color attractive enough? We look at the hardness. If the skin is firm for its own sake, it's good. There are some exceptions for these fruits, but I'm gonna come to that. Smell your veggies. Do they really smell like that greatness of the celery? Or if it doesn't smell directly, score the skin a bit and then smell. Does it smell fresh or like new? We don't like that. We like the freshness. Like life is, imperfection is the perfection. They don't have to be all in the same size, all in the great shape. Something like a pomegranate, for example, is great when it starts to crack. It will be like tasty. So don't look at the same size. Look at it whether it has these great imperfections. Check the packaging. If you have an option not to have an extra packaging while buying it, buy this one rather than this one with a lot of plastic around. How to choose the best veggies and fruits for us. Everything starts with tomatoes. In Turkey, we love our tomatoes. And for the tomatoes, actually it's one of the mostly played seeds in the world. The best seed, where you can understand, I have rules. First of all, if the skin is kind of mud, it means it's better pollinated. So if it's a bit mud, we prefer it. It could be pink, it could be other colors, it could be bright red. The color doesn't mean much. Secondly, you have to look at the skin of the tomato. The skin of the tomato should be thin. It used to be very thin when I was small, but because it's the packaging of the tomato, they made it thicker and thicker over time. Thinner, the better. Third, when you cut a tomato and when you look at it, normally the stem actually continues in the tomato. It goes down. A good tomato's stem should be shallow and on the top like this. But if it goes down, we don't like it. It's probably not a really good seed. When you cut it, usually in the winter it's not so great, but if the seeds fall, it's not good. We want the seeds to stick to the tomato. And also when you look at it here, if there are 5 star-like lines, it's better. This one is not so great. And if it's not very good in shape, it's something we prefer. We don't want perfect looking tomatoes, because in real life, as we are so different, tomatoes should be as well. So these are the basic things. When you look at the cucumber, we have this thing called çiçeği burnunda, which is the flower on its nose. A fresh cucumber has the flower still sticking. When it's summer, it's more like yellow and it's great. Actually, this is same for zucchini because they come from a similar family. The flowers part, if it's yellow and nice, it's better. It starts to dry. If it totally disappears, not so great. We should look at the stem. Whether it's green and fresh and watery, it's better. And also, cut and smell the cucumber. This smells so good. Cucumber should smell like a cucumber, not like a fish, not like water, but fresh, nice cucumbers. Choose your cucumbers that way. There are so many different kinds. In Turkey, we love our small cucumbers, but there are big ones. All could be different. It doesn't mean much. If it goes through yellowish, soft, we don't like that. The skin should be bright as well. When we look at the peppers, if you can, in the market or in the pazar, if you cut it from here, you won't understand whether it's a really hot pepper or not. The pepper gets really hot as it gets closer to the seeds. The hottest part of the pepper is not actually the seeds, it's not the green, it's the white parts that stick the seed to the pepper. They are the hottest things. So smell it. Now, even from the smell, I start to itch from here. This is a really hot pepper. The skin of the pepper should be bright, it shouldn't have scores. For example, this is a red one, but it's a bit older, as you can see. It's more matte, it's not that glossy, losing its shine. Therefore, you can understand whether it's a new one or an old one. Another thing that we use a lot are the onions and the garlic. The onions and the garlic, if the skin is bright and it doesn't have any problems around, and if this part looks fresh and thick, it's something that we like. As the skin goes yellowish or whitish, and if there are, different color changes in the onion, it might go bad. As you can see, this one, it is getting worse. It's rotting from inside. The onion doesn't get rotten usually from the outside, it rottens from the inside. And also, sometimes this is the problem of wrong storage. Storage is gonna be another video, so we're gonna have that other video later on. But if it stays in a humid nylon bag or etc., the onion will rotten really fast. Especially in springtime, the onions want to have new onions, like babies, like cats. You can think of onions and garlic both want to have a family when the springtime comes. So something green starts to grow from inside. If you plant that, you're gonna have new onions. But that greenness also brings itself another type of bitterness to the onion and also to the garlic. And when you're cooking, that bitterness gets in. I use them because that's life, but if you have the chance when you're buying a fresh one, try to buy the freshest one without newborn garlic. Later on in the videos, I'm going to show you, if you have a lot of garlic in that way, how you can have your garlic garden. It's gonna be other videos, so if you haven't subscribed and if you like this video, please subscribe and like the video. Show us. We need that support. Same thing for the garlic, the skin and the brightness as well. It doesn't have to be white. There are so many different types of garlics all around the world, so they can be. When we look at the potatoes, there are two different kind of potatoes. One is the old potato and the new one. Old potato, it means it's rested, and in Nevşehir, from my father's side, I'm from the Cappadocia region, they have this resting caves there. When the potato rests, the taste, the starch settles and it becomes this crunchy, great for frying potatoes. And usually the color gets more dark and outside skin is dry. When it's a fresh potato, it's more yellowish, it's more brighter, and it has less scores actually. This one has more, but this is a fresher potato. If you're gonna make a food, a stew, mashed potatoes, use these ones. But if you're gonna fry it, use the old ones. If there is greenness, if there is like something sticking out of the potato, then it means something else. I'm going to talk about them later on. The root veggies, the celery, the beetroot, or different kind of radishes are all roots buried under the soil. How would you understand whether it's fresh or not? Actually, these are two of them, both not so bad. But this is a little better. Why? As you can see, the greens are still stiff and, as if I plant this in, it's still living its life. This is slightly going bad, but not so bad as well. I have a cut here. Some of you around the world, you might only come up with celery like this. Look at here. If it's green and fresh, it's better. If it starts to get soggy and brown, it's not so great. Also, always smell. For example, if I smell this is great celery, this smells more like a soil. You can always score with your nails and smell. If it's more celery smelling, it's better. Same for the beetroot. Normally beetroot leaves go bad really fast, but if you have the fresh ones, green ones, and if these are really red, you can also use them for the salad. And also when you look at the carrots as well, for example, this is slightly going bad. These parts, when they are too dry, it means it's been out of the soil for too long. Also for the radishes, same rules apply. Look at the skin, whether it's bright and good and whether it's hard or soft. If these things go soft, it means it's going bad. Smell it. Does it have this, pungent smell? It's good. If it starts to smell like garbage, let's say, it's not so good. Let's move to the eggplants. When it's in season, now it's going away because it was a summer thing. You can have the big, nice, bright skin. I like the skin of the eggplants as like a car. The cars have this metallic, nice outside. I remember years ago, this is probably over 30 years, there was this BMW car in this color. There was slight purpleness to it. I was amazed. I think it was not sold to us. We used to go to car fairs. I liked the car so much, they gave me sustainability books. BMW sustainability, like when you pee, you shouldn't use the flush so much, etc., etc. Those kind of things. How you can, as a kid, preserve.
Nothing changed in the world.
Yeah. Anyways, when it's off season like this, at the end of the season, what happens? These plants want to have babies, so they give up seeds. Especially when the eggplant starts to be seedy, the taste isn't very good. To prevent that, 2 eggplants. This is, as you can see, straight. This is thick here. This means at the end of the season, don't buy thick-bellied eggplants, buy these. But this is not right for the right season. In this right season, if it's thick, it means it's meaty and it's great. But end of the season, don't. Now we have this cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage. When you look at these 3 things, same rules apply. First of all, weigh it. Weigh different kind of cauliflowers or broccolis. Buy the heaviest feeling one compared to the size. Same size, but if it's heavier, it means more dense, it means more freshness. Look at the flowers. Are they sticking to each other really well? This is white. If this is green, is it bright white, bright green? Look at that. Then turn it back. Look at here. Feel it with your finger. It has to be hard, thick, and it shouldn't go brown. If it goes brown, it's not so good. For example, this is a little passing broccoli. The flowers, as you can see, is opening like this. The bright green started to turn yellow. And when you look at it back, compared to this one, this is too white. This is starting to go. Not so bad, but not so great either. When you look at the cabbage, same rule. Cabbage should weigh stiff and hard. When you make sarma, dolma, stuffed cabbage, we make it. It's an incredible. I think we haven't done it to the channel. We should do it someday. Then buy the one which is more elliptical because it has more surface area and easy to make that. When you're buying the artichoke, look at the flower. If it's like purplish and green, it's good. Again, look at the stems, and also if the flowers of it, if you try to pick them up, if it comes to your hand, it means it's getting really dry. It means it's coming to end of its life. Green beans, black-eyed peas, beans, any kind of beans that you have, cut them. If it cracks and you hear a voice, that's good. If it's like bending and not cracked, it's not so good. And also, 2 sides of the green beans, there's a thin line which is called kılçık in Turkey. I don't know its English, but if that is thick, it's not pleasurable to eat. And if it's overgrown, usually that side gets thickened. Lettuce, chard, spinach. These are the greens. The leaves should be light green or dark green, but they should be bright and watery. You also have to look at the roots. In the chard, you can just look at the inside, this part of it. If it's nice looking and watery, it's good. If the root parts start to get really white and when you cut it, if it's very leafy, it's something we don't like, and that's also very important. Other greens, which are dill, parsley, mint, rockets, if the leaves start to get yellow, it's going away. Usually in Turkey, they sell it with roots. If it's a mint root, you can put it in water and then you can later on grow new mint out of it, which I like a lot. But it starts to get yellow, it's really not so good. And usually these things are sold in bunches. Smell the place where they tie the bunch. If it has this going bad smell, usually it means it's going bad. It was not taken good care of. When we look at the leek, we have thin leeks and thick leeks. Thin or thinness depends on the type. It doesn't mean much. Look at the bottom. If it's fresh and these hairs are intact and nice, it's good. Depending on what you do. For example, we make dolma out of this and we need a thin leek. If you're gonna make a filling, a stew, then you can buy any type. These green parts, some of them are really leafy, some of them are not. For example, this is the one which is not so leafy. You can cut it nicely. Then this means it's edible. Some of the greens are sometimes like banana leaves. They are so leafy and you cannot eat. So have a look at it. This is not so good one. It's going away, but it was a fresh and a great leek. Same rules apply for the spring onions. Let's move to fruits. We start with the season ones. Apples. Apples, the first thing you should do this and have the sound. This sound means it is watery inside, it's fresh. The stems should be green and nice. And this part, some of them when they start to go out, it starts to have mold at the bottom. This also applies to the pears and quince as well. Apples, if they are in different shapes, different colors, it's good because as we are so different, the apples are as well, even from the same tree. Unfortunately, I don't like the apples that are, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The apple that the stepmom gives, not so great. To keep that, usually on the apples, they put wax to preserve how it looks. To understand whether your apple has wax or not, with your fingers, go through the apple like this. If to your fingers something white is on the apple, it means it's waxed. I prefer not to buy because I love to eat the skin of apples and pears and quince. I am very keen on bananas, but I know all around the world it's impossible. In Turkey we have bananas like this, thin and small, but they are gorgeous. Now, because this small bananas grew really famous, the world-known banana producers started to have bananas like this, which are small but thick. These are genetically modified ones. For the world, it's hard for me to say, but smell the banana. Banana itself should smell, and also the skin. Like for example, if you cut this smells so good, and the skin also has its own smell, like a sugary smell. When I cut one banana from here, and when I smell it, smells like nothing, and also the skin smells like nothing. Would you like to smell? And smell this one.
Wow, this is bananas.
It looks almost the same, but totally different things. Moral of the story, banana should smell like a banana. Then we have the pomegranate. Pomegranate skin could be very different. Pomegranate is a great preserve of her own, so it can stay great for weeks and months. Just look at the top and the bottom. You shouldn't have a moth in it. If it's like, British royal family color thing is here, it's so good. But the skin's color, whiteness, redness doesn't mean much, because even just in Turkey there are 80 different kinds of pomegranates. White, yellow, dark red, etc. Secondly, another thing which I value a lot is persimmons. There are two kinds of persimmons. These are called the chocolate persimmons. In Turkey, they are eaten like apples like this. When you cut it, you eat it hard. And the second type of persimmons are actually like this. They are soft, and inside they are really different. Actually, this one is the best persimmon to eat, going away. But if I see this in a selling place, I would buy it, because look at inside, it's greatness. This is peach, banana, honey, even a bit of chocolate, all together made into a fruit, which is amazing. A bit of mangoes as well. So these are few of the things that are important. When we move to lemon, orange, tangerine, same thing. Waxing is a big issue in the world. Check it whether it's waxed or not. And then also score with your nail and smell. Is it like a lemony, nice, acidic smell, or whether it doesn't smell much? If it doesn't smell much, find and try to choose that. In lemons, when it's thin in skin, it's gonna be usually more watery. If the skin is starting to get dry and not so bright, it means it's going away. There are so many different types of tangerines and oranges. Some of the skins are thick, some of the thin. In the orange, my favorite is the Jaffa one. In Cyprus, we have my aunt, may she rest in peace. She had these Jaffa oranges that were incredible. Actually, the Jaffa cakes in London, which is really famous, gets its name from that orange. In terms of tangerine family, I like the clementine. It's the small, dark orange one. I think it has the most smell. If it has green leaves on top, I always prefer in that family to buy with the leaves on. There are so many other fruits in the world. If you want, tell them in the comments, I'll write them down. Finally, the watermelon. Burak, the professor of watermelons, because he comes from the region where the watermelons are really famous. I have 3 watermelons. How do you understand this almost same looking watermelon? Which one is better? It's the sound. This is rather emptier. These are thicker ones. Then, weigh it. Almost the same size, but it weighs quite heavy. This one is even heavier. This is a little lighter. I think this one is probably the best one. The sound and then the weighing. For example, these are the same size, but brain works in miraculous ways. If it's a big one and you weigh it, and then you get a small one and you weigh it, sometimes the small one feels more denser. The denser, the better. When you look at the melon, turn its back and smell it. Look at this part of the melon and watermelon as well. If it's starting to get soft, we don't like that. And another thing, the stem has to also be dry so that it grew to the end. And usually when you grow a watermelon or melon, it grows on the soil and it leaves its own plants by this part drying. So it means it's fully grown. Another thing, they grow up by lying down. Everyone's dream. There should be a sign of it's sitting down like this or like this. As you can see, probably this grew up like this. These things, the outside color, how it sits, the stem, and the heaviness and the sound will be the things when you look at the watermelon and melon. Now I would like to show you one of the heroes of a nice company, which is Gıda Kurtarma Derneği. What they do is they take the excess goods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, everything, including butter, etc., etc. I said excess food, but actually it's not excess. It's the food that the due dates are coming. They collect those from the supermarkets and make it reach to places like this. Sometimes they make a small market. Sometimes if there isn't a place that is suitable to make a market, they have this mobile cars and they put whatever in there. Today they distributed eggs, lots of fruits, even some meat. It's gorgeous. And at the same time, they do a different thing. Now here, I wish you would hear the smell. There's a gorgeous smell. It's like a soup kitchen. They're also cooking food inside so that there's some kind of people who cannot cook at home. So they give warm, really nice, homemade, fresh food. It cheers up some families and at the same time fills the stomachs of the ones who really need it. I would like to share some data about Turkish food. In Turkey, unfortunately, for one person, 102 kilograms of food waste happens in every year. Last year, the year before actually, this was 93 kilos and it grew. The economy got worse, everything got worse in terms of production, etc. But the number increased. This says so much. It's nothing to do with wealth. Actually, it's negatively correlated. So many things has to be done. In some countries, to throw away the food from the supermarkets and food places are now totally banned. In Turkey, unfortunately, we're not there yet. But this can be done and it can be done very fast. The return of the investment is like if you invest 1 lira to collect the food, in return, you create a value for 7 liras. When you look at it from 1 lira to 7 lira, there isn't such a big gain in any other investment. So it's gorgeous. So I wanted to talk about that. Now this is really getting popular in the world. It's probably social entrepreneurship. These young guys and women are my heroes and they're spreading. In Turkey, these things are going slow, but they've learned so much from here and they've expanded their knowledge to Spain and maybe to many more countries gonna come. I'm kind of proud and I wanted to share it with you because part of wanting good for the world is also supporting the heroes, being a help to pave the way of the heroes. And these ladies and gentlemen are my heroes, so I wanted to share it with you guys from all over the world.